Welcome to Season 2 of the Moving On podcast. I'm Jay Norman.
Hi, I'm Jessie Norman. We sure have missed you guys. And if you're new around here, welcome.
And babe, you got anything you want to talk about?
Oh, I bet we will think of something.
We always do. Hi, babe.
Hi.
How are you today?
I'm doing so good. How are you? Thank you for coming home early.
You bet. And we're getting another podcast recorded here pretty quick after the other one. This is kind of exciting.
Pretty big for my breakfast.
We're stepping up and getting caught up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of exciting. So how was your day today?
It was very good. I got a lot done. I climbed Mount Laundry, did like 6 loads of laundry, painted Cash, our son's floor, painted it, and I had bought a huge pegboard. I put it on the wall, painted it, and hung all of his Nerf guns. So he's going to be so excited when he gets here.
And our kids are pretty good at wardrobe changes for whatever they're doing outside. And there's a lot of different drops through the day. And when it's a weekend, as you're step parents, you know that the laundry ebbs and flows just like the visitation does.
Yeah, our children like to try it on, dislike it, and throw it in the hamper because the laundry gods will do it. And then we also have a sprinkler on the trampoline. And then Jay works out every day. And we're not small people. So our clothes, I was realizing today, are gigantic and heavy. And our towels are gigantic and heavy to cover our person.
We use lots of them.
Yeah.
We do. So on the farm today and kind of getting caught up a little bit, we still lack some soybeans to cut.
Mm-hmm.
We got another rain last night, which is holding us up on that again, hopefully by the end of the week. Get going on that. Still trying to plan.
We're usually looking at each other, and now we're just sitting shoulder to shoulder like the weirdest couple on the planet.
Look at me in the computer.
Oh yes.
There you go. And we caught all our heifers over the last 2 or 3 days, and we're gonna preg check all those girls in the morning and see where we're at on that. So a lot of different things going on the farm for sure.
Good. Yeah, I knew you had a really busy Monday today, like always. I tried not to bother you too much.
Phone started ringing about 10 till 7, and I never got caught up the whole day. So just one of those days for sure.
Well, we have a date tonight.
We do. So, babe, today we have an extra special podcast.
My brother from another mother.
And so he has a podcast along the same topic.
Yes.
That we do. And so we're excited to talk to somebody that's lived kind of the same life and has the same podcast. And do you want to introduce him?
Yes. This is my big brother, Tim, from Blendcredible podcast. Welcome, Tim. We're so excited.
Hey, Jess, Jay, thank you so much for having me on the farm. I'm digging it. I'm learning.
You're a hard worker, and you picked up driving the tractors so quickly.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
We'll keep those lawned over corn bushels a secret. But yes, thank you.
You're a natural.
And you're in Raleigh, North Carolina, right?
I am. Yes. In the big R.
When did we meet, Tim? Who grouped us all together? Was that your doing, or how did that happen when it was Shanae. Shanae grouped us all together. We have a dear friend that loves connections just like I do. And she threw about 9 or 10 of us into a text thread about a year ago and just said, hey, y'all are all cut from the same cloth. I think y'all would like to know each other. And she was right. So we were guests on Merritt's podcast once. We did. Tim, did you organize the game night?
No, I think that was G and Allison, maybe.
I didn't know. So all of
that was bad, Tim.
Yeah. Oh, we did horrible.
I saw it.
All of our friends have in this community a vlog or a YouTube or a podcast, and they're all in blended family situations, and they're all just so wonderful. That's where I met Tim. But it quickly became very apparent that he and I were cut from an even more similar cloth. He is a very whole person. Everything he posts, I repost, and that's not because I'm being nice. I love it, and I want everyone to see it. Every time I read it on my phone, I have like my hand in the air, and I'm saying, like, preach. Like, I love everything you put on there, and I can't wait for everyone to go see all of your stuff. It's so good and whole, and I want to know how you got here.
Well, I appreciate that. I think, first of all, thank you for those kind words. I think they are something that I don't take for granted. Let me just say that right now. When you come into a a dynamic like we are in, and I make no qualms about it. I've said this before. The dynamic we work in is really female laden. It's woman heavy. And I say that unapologetically because stepmoms take the brunt of so much of our home life. And it happens from the maternal instinct to the mothering instinct to the matriarchic instinct, all the way out. They take so much of it. So for me to be in this world, I think was a stretch anyway, right off the gate. I had to get my motives right. And I just started coming in on talking about how I think my process was how we could be celebrated more as step parents. And that's just how I started it.
Well, but as a male, how do you know that? How did you get to a space where you could understand our heart?
Well, that's a good question. Very good question. One, I am a stepchild, number one.
Okay.
So I had a stepmom.
I've heard you talk about her.
And I saw some of the things she's gone through. And I married again, of course, like I said, into a blended family my first time. So I was the step parent there. Then my second marriage now, seeing a lot of the things that my wife has to go through. This is her first time as a step parent. So I was able to see a lot, feel a lot. And because this was my second go round, while I'll never understand what it's like to be a woman, I do understand what it's like to be a step parent. Right. So what I did know, I took some time to look at and noticed a lot of things. And we talked, and I just thought, if she's going through all this type of emotional and stress and anxiety, things of that nature, uncertainty, then she represents a large percentage of the other moms that are out here doing this.
She's not alone in this.
No.
So you were married the first time. My question is, when did you really start looking at what was going on and diagnosing it and realizing the things that you could do different? Was it when you were in the first marriage, when you were first a step parent, or when you in your marriage now?
Yeah, I think the first marriage was key, and for so many reasons, because I came in as green as I don't know what. But here's the funny thing. I went through so many marriage courses because in my mind, I was going to be married and not a step parent, mind you, but I was going to be married. Went through so many classes. And that is when I met and was introduced to Ron Deal way back in the day. Like when I say back in the day, I mean back in the day when he was just coming out, and some other people that were just big. I didn't do that. Ended up marrying again, like we talked about, into a step family. I did not begin to realize what was actually going on until maybe halfway. So maybe like 5 or 6 years into that relationship, because I came in under the impression that I understood and knew what this child needed, a dad. So because his dad wasn't there.
Do you mind me asking how old you were during those 5 years? It would have been from what to what?
I was, when I got married, I was 30. Yeah.
So pretty set in your ways by that point.
Because I had already said in my mind, I am not getting married. Here's the thing, until I'm 30, right? And I had said that even when I was before now. This wasn't my first marriage. I was married before this, but I was a teenager almost. So that one just was like a dust, came and went.
Right.
So I don't talk about that one much because in my mind really wasn't.
It doesn't count.
Right.
Yeah.
So this one, I was 30 and I was open to learn in that relationship. And boy, did I learn a lot of things, not about them, about me.
Yeah.
And so one of the main things that I did learn, Jay, was the fact that they had their stuff together till I came along. So I just kind of messed everything up.
They had a system.
Oh, they had a system, and it was working.
Do you think that you've been, because you're obviously an empath. If you read any of your stuff, you're an empath. Do you think that you've always been one?
You know what? I don't know about always. I know that when I began to feel, and I think all young children, if they allow themselves, will find that part of them that can connect emotionally and even that can connect spiritually to a situation. I saw my mom and dad go through it. So I saw them argue. I saw them fight. I understood what it was to see parents fighting over a child, sometimes for the right reasons, sometimes for the wrong reasons.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're in that atmosphere, you want to make sure that your loyalty is not split. So you unconsciously start to feel what each parent
What
is
would work?
doing, right?
Yeah.
So that you can connect to each one. So I want to say all that to say, I think that's when everything started, when it started. And not to discount the fact that I believe also that when we are here, when we are released upon this terra firma in this space and time, we already have an instance of how to connect.
Right.
So that was, I believe, where it started. And to your point, humility. I think I have a PhD in that.
Me too.
But not from a standpoint of something to be proud of. But yeah, I do have that shirt, Jay. It's all jacked up and tore up. So I keep it in the drawer.
I understand.
Yeah.
That hand your butt to you kind of humility type
Oh
thing.
man, yeah, and then sell it back to you. So
I'm just happy to be here. Like after mine, I just either thought I would either be dead, God would just strike me dead. I kind of grew up thinking if you cussed, a hand just kind of came from hell and pulled you down. And so after my divorce, I thought either I would be dead or die. Then that didn't happen ever. And so I thought, okay, well, he's going to allow me to live, but it's just going to be some like subpar life devoid of any blessing or joy. So then that made me just so happy to be anywhere. Thank you for letting me be in this kitchen, with you. And that's where that humility for me came, is anything from the ground 0.0 and up, I was so thankful for.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's real. And it took you some time, I guess, to kind of navigate towards that mindset.
Maybe tomorrow I'll figure it out.
Yeah, I hear you.
I'll call you tomorrow.
Let me know. Yep, let me know.
Yeah, it's a work in progress for sure. Still, luckily we have some really good counselors, but often when I'm done with one of those, sets of sentences that take a couple minutes, they're just kind of staring at me with their mouths open, like. And Jay always says, "What's it like up there?" Like he's like, "I don't know how. How did you get here? You're so hard on yourself."
Yeah.
That's where it comes from. Is that that can't really get past that failure, and there's so many of us. There's so many of us. I don't know if your current wife went through a divorce, but it takes a lot to convince us to stand up out of the mud and take a step forward. It just does.
My son just came in.
Oh, hi, son.
Hey.
I'm in your headphones.
They won't have it till tomorrow. Won't be ready till tomorrow. Yeah, I'd rather have it done tomorrow than Wednesday. Excuse me, guys.
No, you're fine.
Okay.
How old is he, Tim?
He's 17.
Oh.
Yeah, that was my bio.
Oh, how nice. I need to know. What's his name?
Zion.
Of course. That's awesome.
Yep. So he had his screen cracked on his phone, so I took it today. So he's like, Dad, my phone done yet? So no, not yet.
Important.
We were going to bed the other night and I got tired and I turned over and I flipped the covers to put onto me and I heard my iPad like whirl through the air and then shatter into a million pieces. I wanted to just go on to sleep and not even look for it.
Oh my goodness. Are you going to put the screen, fix the screen back? Okay, good.
I am. I'm going to fix the screen. We started with the virtual learning. We needed a few more devices. So Jay was like, just go get another one. I work on it every day. So he's like, just go get another one. We'll fix it. We have a really wonderful place down in McKinney that fixes it so fast and for not much money. So
that's good.
I'll go take it in.
Yeah, so. I can't say that for not much money part on mine. It isn't for much money.
Oh, it was much money.
Yeah. So he was like, Dad, you got my phone. So yeah. So the other ones, I think the two older ones are in college. Two of my older children,
Hard.
oldest daughter's in college. Just talked to her last night on the phone. My oldest son is in college. We just text today about that fantastic Asperaminis Bears win over Atlanta yesterday. So I had to let him know that Chicago's in the house. So he texted me back, and then my youngest is upstairs, and then that was just my bio. So they are stair steps. So,
And the youngest is right over Zion or right under?
Right under.
Right under, like 16 or 15.
Yep. So they go right now 16, 17, 18, and 19. We just turned 20. So now they'll all bump up. So
yeah. That's how kind of we live today for that long game when they're that age. We want them to have a car and have a mind of where they want to go. And we want that mind to say, oh, I miss them. I want to go hang out with them.
Now, how old are your children now? How old are they?
Ours, you can tell them.
Go ahead.
Ours are the same age. When we got married, we got 2 new sets of twins. So they're 15, and they'll be 15 next week.
30 days apart.
Yeah, 28.
What?
And then 28 days apart. And then we have 2 middle girls that they're tall, lanky, and brunette. And they are 40 days apart. They're 11. And one's his and one's mine. It's crazy.
What?
And then Cash is the baby. He's 8. He wanted us to adopt a partner for him, but I told him that's unethical. And
and here's the craziest part of all this is we're nearly 11 years apart in age, but our kids are the same age.
Isn't that something?
It's
Goodness. And you guys have a crew of how many did you just tell me? Like, what is it, like 7 people?
7 people, 5 kids. Yep.
But we don't even notice it. I mean, we don't. I got home the other night and I know exactly how to connect with each one. And I just bumped the list. I just went through the list, watched Good Place with Lily, had Asian food, shot 100 shots with Henley, came inside, played hot. Like I went to each person and knew exactly what to do. And I was like, we're a well-oiled machine. Like, you know exactly. Thank you.
Most days anyway.
Man, I'm telling you what.
It feel like 5, to me, it doesn't.
That's 7 people. I was counting when you was like, good gosh. Yeah. And the ages are not easy ages. Those 15-year-olds. And the thing is, when they come into some sort of reasoning, right? When they can start to reason in their minds why a thing should be or shouldn't be, that's when you start understanding really what your bandwidth is as a parent.
Right. Well, and my 8-year-old was 2 when his daddy and I got divorced. And so for several years, I didn't even, it's horrible, but for several years, he thought I was married to Jay and to his dad. And he got in a fight with one of his cousins because she said that you're not married to dad. And I said, Bub, and we just kind of had to sit down. He was probably like 4 maybe. He said, yes, you are. Yes, you are. I said, I have 2 husbands. So, but I mean, of course, when you're 2, that's all you know.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It is true.
Is your wife, your current wife, is she a stepmama?
She is. So to my bio that just came in. Yep.
Got it.
So that's a whole another path. Now, one of the things I will say, Jay, to your question is when I came into this one, I was a lot more relaxed and a lot more matter of fact as a step parent the second time around. It's like the difference between a parent that's just had that first baby, right, and everything sanitized, versus a parent that has 3 kids and, you picked it up, you dropped it on the floor, eat it, right? So this time around, I had some different mindsets and some different perspectives on some things. One of these perspectives that I had is not a popular one, but it's a freeing one. And one of the things I told Zion when we were dating, my wife and I, was, listen, this is something that I need you to understand, but it's not necessary that you like. And some people hear that and wait, what do you mean? He's got to like it. No, he really doesn't, because this is a marriage and a relationship that I'm getting into that if we are being 100% with ourselves, he really has no say in at the end of the day. So as cute as those Zell's commercials are and all of that stuff they show you on TV with guys asking these kids if they can marry their moms, here's the ring, and all that stuff, that's not really how it goes. Because if that little boy told that guy, no, you can't marry my mom, I'm pretty sure they'd work it out and they'd be married anyway.
Right.
So when you understand that and the situation that we put these children in, you have to give them the freedom, I think, in my opinion, to like or not. Everybody's quick to say love or not, right? Love or not is easy. That's easy. That's like somebody saying, well, I'm not perfect. Well, we know you're not perfect, but what is the specific thing that you did, right? So saying that they don't have to love is easy. Anybody can say that. But when you narrow it down and start digging and diving a bit deeper, really, they don't even really have to like the person you married.
That's so good.
No.
So when he was freed up. I told him, I say, listen, you don't have to like her. We'll talk about respect, right? And we'll talk about how life is working now for us. The thing about that is, for me, you can't tell your child that if your child doesn't have a very solid, trusting foundation with the bio parent. Because if him and I's relationship was already shaky and things were going on, there's no way that would fly. That wouldn't work because I'd lose him.
Right.
But because we already had that relationship, we were already tight. The foundation was already there. He knew that no matter what he came to me with and how he saw the relationship, nothing would come between him and I.
Yeah.
In my situation, if I'm a mean stepmom, then I step into that high conflict role. If I'm myself, I'm just generally a nice and loving person. Well, nothing pisses off a stepson quicker than a nice, loving, brand new stepmom. I mean, that's not comfortable, not comfortable whatsoever. They would rather someone mean. And so I have to kind of find that line where I'm not touching his cheek and telling him how stinking adorable he is. I almost have to play, this is it, Tim. I have to play hard to get while not retreating. I have to do it all at the same time and know that we're playing a long game.
Better believe it.
For me, that is what he sees, and what I say is exactly what I say when that door closes, and that's not easy at all.
Yeah.
And he has to know that what I say about his mama to his face is what I say to Jay in private, because they're little bloodhounds. And it's a lot of things all at the same time. I bet that's how your wife feels a bunch.
Yeah, I'm a big fan and a big believer in protecting her that way. Now, here's another thing that I believe in and that I push, I share, and it is making sure that you are the liberator. And this goes for both mom and dads. But for me, because I have my bio son, introducing him into a blended family, and because my wife is here, and the thing about it is, this goes both ways. You don't really have to like my son. Now that right there throws people off every time they hear me say it.
Oh, where did you come up with it? Was that something God put on your heart, or where did
it was?
Brilliant.
It came from the first relationship.
Okay.
Right? Because, and here's the thing, so many people know it. It's right up under their noses.
Yeah.
They just don't see it.
Yeah,
so, because you hear this all the time. You don't have to love them. You can't make them love you. It's okay if they love you, that's great, but I don't really have to love the child. And they stop right there. And then they miss the whole thing because they don't go the step further and free that whole relationship up. Because really, I have to free my wife up. Because if she's walking around here thinking that it's necessary that she likes my son, necessary.
Right.
And if she really doesn't, for whatever reason, now I've created a whole catechism that really isn't something that's going to be an asset to our relationship. And the flip side to that is people say, well, what if she doesn't? Then what happens?
Mm-hmm.
What do you mean what happens? What happens right now? Just what you see. That's what happens.
Go get sushi. We go get sushi later.
We work it out, and I do my job as a parent. I'm responsible for my son. She's not. She's responsible for, quote unquote, her children.
Yeah.
When it comes to the deeper things and when it comes to boundaries, I'm not. Now, does it work to where it can be an acceptance factor? None of this is up to me. None of this is up to her. It is all up to the children.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is up to the children.
Yeah.
So you got to earn it. And here's the kicker. Even if you've done all the work and put all the time in and you wait for that reciprocation and you don't get it, you just don't get it. They're not obligated to do anything but respect the fact that this is who you are in the home.
Yeah.
That's it. So once they are freed up to know that, then I found out after the first relationship coming into this one, it has saved me so much heartache, so many tension headaches, so much teeth grinding, so many. I can't tell you how free I was coming into this relationship because of those things. I mean, my kids, I can say without a doubt, they all love me. And I think it has a lot to do with a couple things. One, who they were before I even came here. Two, the situation with their dad. He's not here. So, and they were very young. And then the other thing is, like you said, Jay, I put the work in on purpose. My goal was to make sure that I became a vital part of their lives in every area. So I put that work in and it's paid off. So, I mean, that to me is one of the most freeing revelations. Jess,
have you ever heard that before or thought about it like that? I mean,
no.
I mean, for us in a form, maybe stepping back, we talked about how we pushed so hard and we did too much early, and we stepped back, not to that extreme that he's talking about, but we did realize to step back and let things happen. And I want to go back a little bit because I agree with Jess what she said earlier about a lot of your posts. I mean, you read them and I mean, they'll grab a hold of you. And I mean,
doesn't waste time.
Yeah. I mean,
doesn't waste time on social media.
What you wrote about missing your stepson, I seen that on your first marriage there when you had him. I mean, how long a time frame was that, and where's that at today? Because I mean, that doesn't affect us, but I know it affects some of our listeners for sure. And it's something that, as a step parent, you put thought into, what if you didn't have them,
Yeah. Thanks for that question. And every time I think about my first son, I always call him my son. And as a matter of fact, I just had a conversation with my bio son a couple of days ago because that's his brother. So one of the things I told him was that I definitely could have done a lot of things better in that relationship, but I'm so grateful because of the foundation. Now, when I talk about those instances, those are the instances of mistakes that I've made as a stepdad first time around. Thank goodness there were so many great things that we did that was a saving grace for us now. The last time I saw him was about a year and a half ago, and saw him. He was driving at the meetup place when we dropped Z off, and then his mom would pick him up. But this time she didn't drive, so his brother met us, and it was so good to see him. I got to hug him. We talked about a couple things and laughed about a couple things. So that relationship is there. When I say I miss him, I'm talking about I miss what I know for a fact could have been had I done what I know now as a stepdad.
Yeah.
I miss that part of my son, what could have been. So that weighs on me. And I thought, well, I need to share this and be specific about some of the things that I did not do. And it doesn't feel good, to say those things when I go back and read them. But if I don't put it out there, and somebody responded on the post beautifully, And she said, it feels good to be able to gift your marriage.
Mm-hmm.
And I love the way she said that. So that was the relationship when the marriage was dissolved with my oldest was not great because he was upset and I was frustrated and upset. So it wasn't great. It took some time, years, probably about maybe 7 years before we would even see each other again and even be able to talk. And so that when we finally did, he's a man now. And so he has his own kids. And one of the things that I do still, even to this day, I'll text him. I'll let him know how proud I am of him, what a great job he's doing. And I don't get any response back on the text, and I don't need any response back. I think he just needs to understand the fact that I'm watching him, I see him, and he's doing a great job.
Right.
So the span of relationship between that, right now, I would say the relationship is cordial. I think somewhere deep down inside that he always knows that I have his best interest at heart. But I don't think we'll ever have what I know we could have had I not done those things that I wrote about.
That hindsight's a lot on it, isn't it?
Yeah. And that helped me out a lot too with my relationships with my children now.
It looks like a huge amount of your determination came from that too, just listening to you talk today.
We can relate. We can relate to that so much. And I can say we in this because I know you share with this, but when I went through my divorce from my first husband, there were about 2 or 3 years in there where I didn't believe in divorce. So I just felt stuck. My family didn't believe in divorce and still doesn't. And so I just felt like I was going to be disowned and I was just stuck on pause. And I honestly don't remember those years. So I don't have the memories that I do have. The kids are not in them. I don't even know where they were. And I was the one taking care of them. So where were they? When those feelings would come on in the past few years, it would be so heavy and so devastating to my inner self. Like, you failure, you missed the first 2 years of your son's life, or what did you do during these 3 adorable years of her toddler years? And it would try to come on me, and I would push and push and push, go on a run, drink some wine, dive into a Brene Brown podcast, anything to push those feelings off. And it's just so funny, Tim. I think I'm 6 years out from my divorce. I let those feelings flood in about 10 days ago. And just kind of took about 5 days. I had a lot of emotion come out in our carport with Jay, and I just had an anxiety attack, and I just let it all come out. I was denying myself to feel those feelings for all those years because it hurt so badly. And so when I finally allowed myself to feel those horrific feelings and just let them do what they do, which is hurt, I couldn't get to the next part, So that's the work that I've been doing these past 2 weeks. But when you talk, I know he can relate to it too.
Well, and for us, we talk about a lot on here, going back and looking at our marriages, we can see clear as a bell what we did wrong. I think what's unique about you being here today is that you're talking about that from the parental standpoint, whereas we always talk about it as a divorced person. You're talking about it from the parental standpoint, and that's something that we haven't lived through. We haven't done losing a stepchild, by that marriage going away. I think that's a unique perspective for sure.
It is.
Yep. Yeah, that's the best classroom. I think it was I have to go back and I talk about how sovereign God is, and that has no limits, right? We can't say that God is only sovereign when it comes to the universe and nature. Sovereign is sovereign. When, where, how, what. So for me to know and to settle into the fact that I don't think I was smart enough to orchestrate where I am right now. B, to understand the greater picture and to understand the fact that it is not only okay for my oldest son to not miss me, to be perfectly fine right now where he is, doing what he does, and having a relationship with his real father now. That never happened while he was growing up. Not even a birthday card, nothing.
Right.
But I had to step back and I had to acknowledge the fact that the way that I believe God orchestrated for the good of everybody involved is amazing, because he is living his life now, has his own children, has a relationship with his father, something that he never had while I was with him growing up his whole life. And now, because of what I learned from him and because of him, I'm able to freely provide for the 3 children that I've been gifted to be a steward over right now.
Yeah.
And I've learned because of that. So the freedom for my children to hear me say, hey, listen, my name is Tim, years ago, and I'm dating your mom. I want to ask you guys something. I want you to tell me about what it is you have the most questions about when it comes to me. And they were young, they were little, they were 8, 6, that age. And they just had the innocent questions of, who are you? And are you my mom's boyfriend? Whatever. And I said, well, we're working on that, but I want you guys to know this. And I tell them this, and I remind them of this all the way straight through. Now they're grown, 2 of them. I am here to make sure that whatever it is you need, you can come to me and I can provide for you. If I don't know how to get it, or if I don't have the answer, you and I will work on it together. You don't have to love me. I'm going to love you anyway. You don't have to like me. That's okay. I get it. I have been you before. I'm going to like you anyway. Now, this was me, because this is what I determined to be in this relationship. And they tried it just like I would if I was a child. You need to try. They don't try just for trying's sake. They try for comfortability. They try for trust, and they try for security. They push you to the boundaries to see if, in fact, they can trust the fact that you are who you say, not for any other reason. And a lot of times, as step parents in my first relationship, I didn't recognize that. I didn't recognize the fact that all he was doing was solidifying and confirming the trust that I said he could have in me. So I missed that mark. I didn't see it. So I thought it was, okay, he's just acting out, and I see this so many times in blended families. I see it, and I want to tell the parents so bad, listen, here's what you need to do, because you're going to blow it. All they're doing is testing you to see if you are really who you say you are, and you're going to do what you said you're going to do, and they're going to try that to the limit. And you have to be there. So when it happened in this relationship, in this marriage, I was ready. And I was ready, and I was prepared. That's awesome. So a lot better here.
That's awesome. My children are pulse takers, temperature takers, the middle one especially. And so when I'm not doing very well in my own mental health and personal care, I'll see her start pulling away, because she can't kind of grasp. She can't get a full breath around me when I can't get a full breath. And I didn't see it. I didn't see it for a long time. And so when she would pull away, it would make me go deeper into my anxiety, because now I have a child that is wanting to be at her dad's more. And I just never thought, A, I would be divorced, or B, have a child wanting to be at their dad's more. And then I finally realized it was the Lord saying, until you become a whole individual, reliant completely on me instead of all of these circumstances that you're wading through, you're not going to have her. She's not going to be okay. She's not going to be able to breathe and be able to have not have anxiety when she's around you, because when you have anxiety and you think you're doing a great job of hiding it, you're not fooling anybody. She knows exactly. And my son is the same. Anytime I have a little bit of something going on and I think they have no idea, I always have this little chubby hand on my arm, scratching my arm. He'll come in the kitchen and start scratching my arm. And for anything but that, I will continue on this journey to become a full person for them, so that they don't, they have to continue to take care of their mama because she didn't do her own homework, you know.
Yeah.
So,
whoa, that's good. That's amazing that you have recognized enough to know the fact that the healing process for step parents is oftentimes predicated upon how our children are allowed to be a part of it.
Yeah.
Really. How our children are allowed to be a part of it, our stepchildren are allowed to be a part of it because of the nature, the fact that we're in this relationship from the beginning. You have to understand that each of your children are a vital part of the entire living organism that you guys have. And it is different than anything outside of the home. So they are all a part of the healing process. They're necessities in that healing process, however that looks. So whether you have enmeshment, right? Like you were talking about, where if you're high, this particular child is high. If you're low, this particular child is low, you know? So that's where the lines get blurred between empath and enmeshment. They're two different things. So when you have a child like that, it's so important to understand what a gift that is, because that's feedback. And a lot of people don't get that.
right.
And you have that right in your home. You all have such a huge opportunity to affect not only the children that you have, but affect the families, the second, third, outer rings of your family, because of how you are raising your children and what you're doing there at home. That's incredible to me that you talked about that healing. I think how that looks.
Have you ever heard that quote? Heal yourself and you'll heal. I never can say it correctly. It tongue twists me.
Are you jacking it up, Jess?
Hey, Tim, let me butcher this quote for you real quick. Here, Tim, here it goes. Heal yourself. It's not this, it's dialect. It's the R's. We don't do well with R's in Southern Louisiana. Heal yourself and heal your children's children. And so then when I say long game, then we're going real long game on that one.
Well, that is the thing, isn't it? I heard an old man say one time, and it dawned on me, and I don't know if this was really true or not. I think it is, because it felt good right here in my gut. He said, you know, the sign of a good parent is not how well your children do. The sign of a good parent is how well your children's children do. And it makes perfect sense.
Yeah, it does.
So I understand what you're saying that way. It's very important.
I love that.
Yeah, I think about that all the time, and so many factors of my life, Jay, and so many factors. And the other thing too, as a step parent, I think that I found out and learned from my first relationship that I take into this one here is I don't get to say how I am as a stepdad. That's totally up to them. That's not anything I can say. I can't even say that to my son, my bio son. I can't say that I'm a great dad. He's the only one who can say whether I'm a great dad or not. Teenage antics aside, right? All things level. And I say the same thing with my wife when we talk and we have these conversations. How am I doing? You know, really, am I missing anything? And she'll let me know. I can't say I'm a great husband. The only one who can validate whether or not I am a good husband is my wife, period. And it goes the other way around. She can't say, well, I'm a great wife and I'm doing this. The only one who can validate whether she's a great wife or not is me.
Right.
All things being equal, right? So I use that same analogy, and I have that mindset with my stepchildren. I don't allow myself to think that I'm just crushing it.
Yeah.
As a stepdad, I can't allow myself to go that way.
And usually
without
something's
that.
going to check you up pretty quick when you think
Oh, you better
are.
believe it. I'll tell you what. I'll tell you.
We-
you remind me of a. So I'm just now starting to learn how to drive forklifts. Right. I drive the clamp truck. Right. I'm just learning how to do that. So I got it down packed and doing it. So they had a new guy that came on the dock, and he didn't know how to take the propane tank off the back of the forklift. So I was looking at him, and he had that look in his eyes, like I could see it. And in slow motion, I was starting to go to him because I knew he was getting ready to take that thing off the wrong way. And sure enough, poosh, all the propane's flying everywhere, going everywhere, right? So in my mind, I'm like,
turn the valve off. Yep.
oh man, yeah, he didn't turn the valve off. So it's all over the place. The can is freezing, so you got to get the big gloves, right, to go in there and get it. So when the manager of the dock comes out, and I see the guy coming towards me, I say, he took that thing off wrong, just jacked it up. So he fixes it. So the guy that messed up taking the propane tank off is in the next forklift right next to me. So I get on the forklift, and I'm going to show this guy, man, come on, man, you got to do better than that. You can't just do that and not pay attention to how you do the propane tanks. So I'm going to drive this clamp truck by him to let him know, hey, listen, I know what I'm doing. You need to know better about what you're doing. So I get on this clamp truck, man. I put it in drive and forget that the back two tires are hard, cut to the left and fly right into a bunch of boxes and knock them all over, right? Yeah.
No.
Huge.
We call that getting too big for your britches.
Oh man, absolutely.
It's a gut check.
So I couldn't even, as soon as I did it, and all of these boxes fell and everything, I just stopped. And all I could do was laugh, right?
Yeah.
I said, okay, God, I got you. I hear you, right?
And I told my son that's one of the greatest gifts you can get, to learn to laugh at yourself.
Yes.
Yeah, you have to. I couldn't help it.
We went to our very first event where we were all going to be in the same space. We'd gotten several months without having to do it, but then came football or something. And of course, spent hours getting ready, and I'm just fretting, and I've got hives on my chest, and I'm just panicking. And, the firsts are so scary. And it was
This is with exes.
The first time we were going to be
I was going to ask you. Okay.
Sorry, all the parents were going to be in the same spot.
Okay, gotcha.
It had never happened. And this was going to be our first time. I want to look nice, but not like I'm trying, and, all this stuff. Well, we get there. The game is over. This is a spot where we are all going to kind of need to communicate or pass each other to get out. I step into the aisle. And I completely fall down the stadium stairs, all of them.
My gosh, Jess. Oh my goodness.
She's good at breaking the tension.
And I sprained my ankle so badly, so I kind of yelp out of, and it echoes across the bleachers. And this is their school. Like it was, his ex definitely had home court advantage. And I was just a visitor in that space. And this was my first impression. And on top of that, like I told you, my little pulse taker, Cash, my son it was 4 years ago, so he'd have been 5. He jumped onto my face and my shoulders because I immediately started crying from embarrassment. Well, mom's not going to cry on his watch. So he throws his person onto my face and shoulders, and just the most dramatic scene you've ever seen. He's crying. And I mean, like, mom's hurt. And I'm like, I'm not hurt, baby. My pride is hurt. And so we
She did it upright.
It was the very first time, Tim.
Oh, my goodness.
So we're walking out of the stadium. And every time I look at Jay, he has zero comforting words for me. All he can do is just bust out laughing every time I look at him. And that happened the rest of the day. We would just look at each other and get... I would just look at him like desperate for help, and he would just get so tickled. Oh my gosh.
It was quite a show.
On the bleacher stairs. But you was cute though, right?
But I'm not small.
She nailed it.
I'm not small. It
all
just
right.
made this huge crashing sound. Oh, it's horrible.
And nobody held up like a 9.7, nothing like that.
No, just Cash jumped onto my face and he's crying and I'm crying and it was awful. There was nothing to do but just laugh the whole rest of the day.
Oh my gosh, you have to at something like that. Now, let me ask you something. What is it? Why is it that we get so anxious, do you think, on times like that? Why were you anxious? Why were you just going through mental calisthenics at this moment?
I think it's seasons, because in the beginning of my life, I would do that I was a personal trainer for about 15 years. And when we would get ready to go to a barbecue or go swim, I would just panic, hives, and they're more fit than me. And of course, that's not true. All these lies as a woman, we're comparing ourselves. I was young, naive, and I would just panic. And so to me, it's like everything is hard. Just pick your hard. Like we were going through those issues when we were married. And now as a divorced couple, we've got just a whole nother set of issues. They just look different, Then now I turned 40 this summer and this.
Oh, congratulations.
Thanks, bud. And Jay turned 50 at Christmas.
Oh, 50. Congratulations.
Yes. And 40 brought this neat switch flipping. And it's like, I might as well just walk naked into Walmart. I mean, I couldn't care less if I tried. I know. And so whenever my girlfriends are coming to me about their husbands, I'm like, or they'll say, "Why Jay is this way?" And I'm like, "Don't compare them until yours is 50. It's a whole different ballgame." And I tell my girls, maybe you don't want to get older, maybe you don't want to age, but you will want this mind. You'll want it. You would pay for this mind. And so that's been really lovely. So if we could have gotten divorced now, at 40, it would have been different.
No.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, what is the biggest change you think, Jay, between 40 and 50 that you would say as a father, like, and as a stepdad? What? Because you've been a stepdad for how many years now?
Going on 4 years.
Okay, so from the first year to now, what do you think one of the biggest changes that you have seen in yourself has been?
Patience, number one. Number two, I think just complete different perception of what needed to be done versus how we started versus what it is now and how things needed to be handled. I think just learning from the mess ups. And she and I come from families where there's been no divorce, no step parent. Our parents are still together, have been most of their lives. And so we didn't have that, step brothers, step sisters to build on and understand. And it was a learning curve because we had to, we had things the way we had grown up, the way we were raised, both of us a little bit different, and had to learn how to mesh all that together and how to treat the kids in that process.
4 years, and it doesn't even seem like it's that short when you look at your stories, when you see how you are posting, when you see some of the things you write. So that's a good thing. I think it has a lot to do with your willingness to want to build. That's huge. That's huge.
But we don't want to. God forces us into it. And we're like, no, God, not again. And he's like, yes, get back in front of that mic. And then you tell them this. Like it's all been us kicking and screaming. Do not make us do this. I was teased for my voice my entire life. And then God's like, hey, I know what would be neat. Do a podcast. And I'll be like, the heck I will. And, of course, people are going to say, who are we to give advice? We've only been married 4 years. You have to, we already know what everyone's saying. And God's like, I don't care what you say for nothing. Go, I said, go do this. I was
an extremely private person. I mean, I would have never, 5 years ago, you couldn't have paid me any amount of money for me to do this today, period.
So what changed?
Well, I think I had to change. Her, number one, and I had to change to make it all work, and had to be open minded to what it was going to take to make all this fly and to give these kids the best life we could.
And Tim,
that's amazing to me.
If you took us in, what are those rooms? Interrogation rooms. If you took us and separated us into interrogation rooms, our recount of how we started the podcast is absolute opposite. Locking horns. He says that I forced him and that I wanted him and that I was persistent and he finally agreed. My entire memory is that he has the farm, and so I wanted this by myself, and he kept kind of sitting to the table. Our memories of it and our recollection of it are exact opposite, and to me, that's only God, because he wouldn't have done it unless he thought I wanted him to, and I wouldn't have allowed him on there because he's this old farmer. I just thought we're going to go viral, and then he's going to say something highly offensive, and then we'll get canceled. And I can't control what comes out of his mouth. And so I really was like, no, thank you though. And so then,
she had high hope for me, didn't she?
Yeah, she's going to go viral. He's going to say something. Well, good thing we live in a time where it takes a lot not to go and not to be canceled for something like that.
Yes, but 2020 would cancel us so fast. And so my recollection was that he really wanted to be a part of it. And I thought, no way Jay Norman wants to sit in front of a mic. So this has to be the Lord. So I have to listen. And I believe he's right. And I believe I'm right. I think we had two totally different views of how it occurred. But yeah, when we got together, he didn't want his picture on Facebook. He didn't want anything about the farm, because you don't know this, Tim, just like girls gossip, there's farm gossip. And so and so got a new planter. Did you see that guy rented that land? It's just absurd. And so he didn't want any of our business on there. Well, cut to 4 years later, I put a picture on the other day and he goes, hey, you didn't say where we were. And I'm like, who are you? Who are you? And he's like, well, Jess, when I see a corn harvest, I want to know where they are. I want to know that. So let's go ahead and and I'm like, I cannot even handle who are you?
Yeah.
So,
well, you guys are building something there that you are. The whole show just wouldn't be the same. It just wouldn't. I'm just telling you right now, and I'm not the only one who would say that. It just wouldn't be the same. But you guys are building something I think is great. And the whole story is what needs to happen with you all, which is what you're doing. Everything. That's what makes your message unique.
Oh, yeah. My plan would have ended in absolute disaster. It would have. It would have been horrible. Who was I going to even be talking to? I don't even know. And then, we had a producer our whole first year. And I just kept saying, I hate my voice. Is there a mic that makes me sound normal? And he's like, I don't want you to sound normal. I love the way you sound. And he convinced me. He was like, your voice married with Jay's, very, very white tones, that it marries perfectly. And I just trusted to believe it instead of
we're glad you did.
Thanks,
We're glad you did. Just keep it going. And the thing that I can't stress to you enough is the message that you guys have, the way that you deliver it. Don't change that. Again, allow it to evolve, because it will. But don't change your message. Don't change how you two come together and do this, because 4 years is 3 years more than the couple who's been married 1 year.
Yep.
And 4 kids, 5 kids is 4 more kids than the couple who has their first kid and there's one stepmom in the house. So you have something. Here's the thing too, that if you cheat us by not giving it, then it's so much larger than just that. The whole thing since, and here we go. My wife says, you got to go there. Yes. The whole thing from the conception of this thing we call time right? Because time only exists for us. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't exist for God, doesn't exist in universal language. It only exists for us because we have to have something to measure our finite lives with. So if you take that and consider that even with that perception, there's people or a people that have been designed, their whole situations have been orchestrated, carefully placed in positions that they can only connect to your message. That's it.
You're right.
And if you cheat the universe out of that, and you cheat these people out of that, then you've done yourselves a disservice, and you've done these people a disservice, and you've created a void in the universe that won't be filled. Can somebody else give them a message? For sure. There are other podcasts out there, other blended families and step-parent couples that are talking, but it won't be the same. It won't be as it was meant to be.
Oh, thanks,
So
Tim.
this thing about, if it's for me, it's for me, it's going to be for me. No,
Yes.
there's a good, there is a better, and then there is a perfect, right? You want that perfect, right? There are three things always: good, better, perfect, mind, body, spirit, Father, Son, Holy Spirit,
Sure.
outer court, inner court, most holy place. There are always three. So you have to understand that the highest idea for you all's message is that you hit exactly the reason this whole thing evolved in the first place.
Thanks, Tim.
However that goes.
I believe that. We saw that so much in the beginning where, Jay would go to the dump, or Jay would go to somewhere where the man didn't even look like he owned a phone or a clean pair of pants. And he was like, "Oh, love your podcast. I've got 6 of my buddies listening to it." And Jay would just fall out of his shoes.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. I had no clue.
And I have several friends
that's amazing.
Yeah, that say their farmer husbands would have.
That.
Yeah, they would have never listened to a podcast unless it was Jay being
Absolutely.
the one speaking. And so I definitely thank you for speaking that over us. That I believe in telling people who they are, and I really, really. Your words carry a lot of weight with me. So I will remember those last few sentences you just said for a long time. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. That is the truth. Absolutely. I enjoy what I see.
Hey y'all, it's Jess. Sorry to interrupt. This one was so special to Jay and I that we actually went over 2 hours with Tim. So we are going to break it into 2 parts so that we don't overwhelm you, but we promise not to make you wait too long for the second part. I'll get it to you sometime next week. We love you guys, and here's my boo.
We sure appreciate y'all listening today. If you'd like to follow us on social media, you can search for us, Moving On Podcast. That's 3 words, on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. We would love to hear from you, with ways you're figuring out how to drop the ropes in each of your own lives, and even ways that you're not. Hell, that's just as entertaining to us. See you in a couple of weeks.